It's a pleasure to talk about biomethane and bio-NGV. We consider it two promising and very relevant contributors to the decarbonization of the economy. So GRDF is a gas distribution system operator in France. It's the main operator in Europe for distribution. And what I wanted to say here, it's mainly that we are very committed to decarbonize our activity and to be an enabler of renewable gas development in France. So in France, there is a very good move for biomethane. As you can see in this slide, there is today 145 biomethane sites injecting on the grid, on the distribution and transmission grids in France. It's more or less multiplied by 2 in 18 months, let's say. And today we have a good rhythm as we connect more or less one new biomethane plant per week. So let's say the industry is rather mature. The grid operator are very used, let's say, to study the project and to connect them to our grid. I think here we can see interesting figures on the right side in the two bubble. It's from the first one, the multi-annual energy planning scheme of the French government, showing that in France we have a target of production of renewable gas and biomethane, and we talk about 14 to 22 terawatt per hour in 2028, and we consider it's fully achievable, as in our capacity register we have more than 1,000 projects today, which represent a production of 24 terawatt hour per year. This capacity register is a tool of the grid operators to organize the connection and of the project. And for the distribution, it's as soon as a producer, as a project where you conduct the detailed connection studies, as soon as it's detailed studies, it can be registered. So let's say it's pretty advanced project with a capacity to be connected in the 2 to 5 years, as they are in the register. So going to bioCNG, here you have a graph showing since 2000 the registration in France of NGV vehicles. What I can say is that in France, for more than 2 decades, 30 years, there is use of buses in the cities. NGV is very well developed, I think, since the 80s. So a long tradition, let's say, of bus. And the tendency now, it's on heavy duty vehicles. On the graph is the green, dark green. And that really is the tendency today. While we have 22,000 NGV vehicles in France, half of them are heavy duty vehicles. Some figures also for you to see a little bit the market share. It's about 10% of the CNG in buses or in garbage trucks. What's important to accompany this development is the development of stations, refueling stations. In the beginning, it was more private stations in France related to captive fleets, and more those stations are made public, and most of them there is a minimum of let's say some captive fleets to allow the investment, but then the station is open to the public. We have today more than 150 stations, but also there is an interesting tendency of development. I was told that in the last 10 days we had 5 new public stations put into operation in France. So there is still some ambitions for the end of the year, 250 stations, we will see in the context of the recovery also if we achieve this. And as I was talking about CNG in general, the tendency also is to have more and more biomethane in the mobility. Today, it's a little bit more than 17% of the CNG which is using biomethane. It's increasing, and we can see there is a demand to have the sustainability of the biomethane in the mobility, in the trucks or buses especially. As you might know, a gas distribution operator offer a service of bringing the gas from the producer, from a supplier to a client. We are not owner of the gas, we are just offering a service. And what we want also is to be a facilitator. And for the mobility, we offer information. Most of the information I have presented to you are on the open data sources, so it's easy to find them. Here I present to you the web page on mobility of GRDF. As soon as you are able to read French, you have very interesting information. For instance, there is a simulator of the total cost of ownership. It's to get some basic information about a project. You can put the type of vehicle you intend to use, and then different information about technical, but also financial, fiscal, tax, and so on. And then you can make first simulations. You have also a catalog of all the vehicle running on gas available in France, for light to very heavy duty trucks. All kind of information from all the suppliers. You can have some interesting information. Also, if you want to make a station, you have also basic data about the design and the related cost of investment and operation for such design. And then also very interesting list of contacts. If you have a project in France, here some contacts from all the value chain to build your project, let's say. Then I would like to go to 2 slides of some element of conclusion to share with you. Today we have the ambition of the Green Deal. All together we want to reach climate neutrality in 2050. Today the mobility in Europe, it's a diesel and gasoline based mobility. It was said, with emission increasing while all the rest of the economy is taking care of reducing its emission. In mobility, we have still more than 90%, 95% of vehicles running on diesel and gasoline. And also the new vehicle, when you look the registration, is still a very dominant market share of diesel and gasoline. And for instance, you can see that NGVA has for buses 6% of market share last year, and for heavy duty trucks, when it's 98% in Europe running on diesel, we have 2% of gas. So it's a beginning of a switch. We believe on it because also in France, the multi-annual energy planning of the government indicate some ambitions to increase the market share of natural gas vehicle and bio-NGV in the next 10 years. And the intention is to reach 20%, 21% market share by 2028. So today what we can see is that bio-NGV, it's available. If you look at the catalog, you're really an offer of vehicle. It's affordable. If you use some basic calculators, you can see that it makes sense. It's in competition with the diesel. The tricky point, as it was said already, it's the fueling station. That's why we accompany the development of such public stations. But gas mobility is really needed to exit oil. and to reach the ambition of the Green Deal for mobility, there is not so many technology to contribute to it, and the NGV is already, as it was said, existing. It's also a European supply chains. So in the framework of the recovery plan, GRDF has made 9 proposals to the French government recently, and 2 of them are about mobility, and also to encourage, as I said, a switch from diesel to gas for the people using the vehicles, but also to develop stations. I would say what is our, from our experience in France, we see that to have a clear political commitment is really useful. It gives visibility to all the industry. In France, we have a target, as I said, in production of biomethane and renewable gas. It's 10% in 2030. I think I have shown that we are on the way to do it. But at the European level, there is a different situation according to the country, different trends, and we would consider that also such targets for at the European level could give a good trajectory for the gas industry in general to accompany the decarbonization. About bioNGV, more especially, it was said by EBA, by Armen previously, it's the impact on the climate is neutral as soon as you consider it's a bio CO2, it's biogenic CO2. So it's a cycle of the CO2 from the plant to the energy and back to the plant. That's why the condition of production of biomethane are very important to ensure the sustainability of the system. And what we see is that in Europe, for the transport sector, we really ask for a technology neutrality. The challenge is huge to switch from diesel, and in the different regulation, for example, the Clean Vehicle Directive or the ongoing work on the taxonomy and sustainable finance, we would consider as legitimate that gas mobility is well considered as the construction of vehicle, for instance. The one used with natural gas can be used by biomethane. It's really an enabler of renewable gas consumption in the mobility. And to do it, we should complete the tailpipe emission approach, but a broader one to realize that the CO2 produced by biomethane is a very low carbon. It was said it could be even be considered as a negative. So we expect more work on that, and to have a clear guidance as well on the directive on the infrastructure. It's a key enabler for development of a large-scale fleets, and to conclude, I would like to have a word on research and development. NGV is a mature technology, but as we have seen, it's still rather marginal. It's 2% of the new trucks in Europe last year, so it's still really a challenge for them to get more market share. It's affordable, but we consider also that there is still a margin of progress, and R&D could be really promising for NGV and bioNGV. And for instance, while accompanying a project developer on the railway mobility, and we realized that in the railways in Europe there is a lot of diesel, much more than we expected first, and that also bioNGV could bring a solution in terms of cost and also in terms of environment and climate. I think that's it. Thank you really much for your attention.